Amidst the grass in a park, Hitler suddenly woke up. He stood up, dizzy and out of breath. When Hitler saw the neatly planned house before his eyes, he was extremely skeptical. Is this the devastated and tattered Germany after World War II? At this moment, a few children ran past. They were surprised as if they saw a crazy man before their eyes. Hitler at this time was more like a ragged old wanderer. He quickly asked the children where his manager was. After hearing this, the children were confused and did not understand what Hitler was saying, so they quickly ran away. It turned out the kids were filming a show for MC Fabian. Just like that, Hitler accidentally entered the camera. He wanted to go to his head of state's palace to find out more about this matter. So Hitler walked across the street. He walked into the crowd on the square. A lot of people saw Hitler dressed strangely and thought he was an actor filming. People even took out their phones to take souvenir photos with Hitler. When Hitler limped up to a mother pushing a stroller, he intended to ask her for help. Who would have thought that the other party would directly spray Hitler with a bottle of spicy water in his face? It seemed his appearance scared the woman. A distraught Hitler went to a newspaper shop. When he saw the date 2014 written on it, he was extremely surprised and lost consciousness on the spot. When he woke up, he discovered he was lying on a chair in a newsstand. It turned out that the kind-hearted newsstand owner thought Hitler was an amateur actor who was going crazy, so the new boss let the head of state stay here for one night. Hitler read newspapers and saw all kinds of news. He began to comprehensively learn about Germany's development after World War II. Hitler was surprised to discover that Poland had been destroyed by him in World War II. Not only did they regain their country, but they also captured a part of German territory after losing the war. What's even more bitter is that Germany is now led by a woman. Although Hitler was very angry, now he could only learn about his country through newspapers and history books. At the same time, Fabian was preparing to lose his job because he couldn't find any hot information to blow up and profit from. At this time, he suddenly discovered Hitler's figure appeared in his street interview video. Fabian believed this news would bring about a turning point in his career, so the next morning he immediately went to his place with many books. Although Hitler no longer wore a military uniform, in every gesture and action he still had the spirit of a leader. Fabian immediately decided to take Hitler around Germany to film a reality show about the Führer. Having said that, he started to borrow a car to take him. Hitler went on his way. Their footprints quickly spread across many German cities. He led Hitler to the shore full of waves and winds. While going through the desert without seeing the border, this simple reality program obviously could not bring quick results. Once, Hitler accidentally saw a TV in a motel. He was very curious about this high-tech product. After watching movies continuously for a long time, Hitler keenly discovered that television today is largely a brainless show. Dancing and singing all day long, he wanted to create a program related to politics. Hitler wanted to let ordinary people express their true feelings about Germany today. So he started going out on the streets to interview ordinary people across the country on sensitive issues and current topics. Hitler's political acumen was very strong. Under his guidance, ordinary people voiced their dissatisfaction with Germany's unemployment problem. It seemed like everyone had a lot of worries about the nation's politics then. Not long after, while interviewing the owner of a farm, Hitler was suddenly bitten by a dog. He was angry and immediately pulled out his gun and shot the dog dead. Fabian was extremely unhappy with Hitler's actions. He immediately confiscated the Führer's gun so he wouldn't shoot around anymore. If someone dies, the two guys would end up in prison and that would be the end of them. Because Fabian had no funding, their program struggled. He had no other choice but to tell Hitler to go to the streets and paint pictures for passersby. Although the drawing ability of Hitler was very bad, this trick still attracted a lot of customers. Among them, there were people who liked Hitler and even actively asked to take photos together. There were also people who hated Hitler and wanted him to go away and hide from the public. But no matter what, they still ended up making some money. That's why the program continued. Their footprints spread across the country. Hitler's popularity also gradually increased. Many people came because they heard about him and took souvenir photos with him, then posted on Facebook to brag about. Hey guys, I got to shake hands with this head of state. Just like that, Hitler's reality show was a great success. They received millions of views on YouTube. Fabian brought Hitler into the company with this unprecedented achievement. He hoped to be taken seriously by company leaders. Fabian's manager, Christoph, initially expressed disdain for Hitler's program. But the head of state gave an excellent speech and successfully convinced the director of the Katina company. Hitler was recruited directly to work without any paperwork or through that bald guy. Katina also promised to let him participate in many television shows. Hitler was quickly exposed to the results of humanity's newest science, computers. During World War II, Hitler did not take this machine seriously, because computers at that time were very heavy and inconvenient. After a long period of development, computers had become smaller and smaller, and their functions had also become more and more powerful. All of this seemed incredibly new to Hitler. He swam in the ocean of the internet without being able to tear his eyes away. Finally, he was moved to tears by the speed of development of science and technology at that time. To him, everything then was magical and overwhelming. Early human development was beyond his imagination. Hitler was scheduled to appear in an episode of Hello, My Friend. This program was the hottest program in the company. The MC was also very popular with the audience. But after Hitler went on stage, he did not follow the original plan and stood in front of the audience to criticize the show, saying TV was really spoiling people these days. It made the audience fall into a black hole of endless decay. Hitler relied on his excellent speaking ability, along with his strong temperament, to arouse the emotions of the entire audience. The program quickly resonated throughout the country. The audience at the studio clamored for Hitler's phone number and autograph. This made the original MC extremely dissatisfied, but Katina completely ignored his feelings and ordered someone to pull the MC off stage. The female director keenly sensed Hitler's value. She immediately decided to strike while the iron was still hot, allowing Hitler to participate in all the programs on the station. So Hitler began to appear regularly on TV. He publicly stated his inflammatory opinions. His persuasive speech gradually spread throughout the internet. Hitler quickly became a star from Germany. Everyone thought he was the best person to portray Hitler. "I'm the real leader of the country. I'm not some guy, but I'm not the best, you guys." Many spectators began to compete in impersonation, but Hitler was not content to just be an internet phenomenon. He began lecturing across German political parties. Under Hitler's encouragement, his supporters grew more and more. Their thoughts were also becoming more and more agitated. Dissatisfaction with society also increased every hour, every minute. Finally, one of Katina's subordinates, Rico, could no longer accept it. He realized Hitler was not just performing normally, but was intentionally provoking the audience's emotions. What was even scarier was that people liked Hitler because of his satire, so more and more people recognized Hitler ideologically. Rico realized that if this continued, Germany might repeat history and the risk of war would arise again. But Katina was basking in the show's success. She didn't care about Hitler's political goals at all, so she angrily scolded Rico. However, Katina did not completely trust Hitler. She secretly investigated her opponent's background, but no matter what method she used, she still couldn't find the head of state's records. Faced with suspicion, Hitler honestly said he had lived since 1917. Obviously, Katina did not believe that the man before her eyes had lived for more than 100 years. She thought Hitler was just an ordinary actor, so Katina still ignored everyone's opinions and let Hitler participate in the programs. But the leader's popularity had made many people dissatisfied. Bald guy Christoph was also one of them. He silently released the video of Hitler shooting the dog earlier, causing the audience to immediately whisper. Germany took animal protection extremely seriously. Killing a dog also meant losing everyone's support. Suddenly, Hitler was hated by everyone. The sound of reprimand continued to ring out. Katina was also dismissed before the director incident. Thanks to that, the bald guy was able to jump into that hot seat. However, after being unemployed, Hitler was not idle. He wrote all his experiences into a book. Since he suddenly woke up and went to interviews across the country, he expressed all his feelings about the current weak Germany. Thanks to the help of Fabian, the book was released, and at the same time sold like hotcakes. In just a short time, it had become the hottest book nationwide. In another development, the program, because Christoph didn't have Hitler's appearance, saw its number of views drop like his pants. It was reported that the company was on the brink of bankruptcy. To survive, the bald man had no choice but to come to Fabian and make an invitation. He would invest 1 million euros in the first movie about Hitler. Fabian was short on capital, so this was a very attractive offer. While having fun, Fabian took Hitler to his girlfriend's house for a dinner party. His girlfriend's grandmother was a Jew who suffered enough from World War II, so just by looking at him, she knew that the Hitler in front of her was not an actor, but the real Hitler. No matter how others explained, she still insisted on kicking the head of state out. Hitler never lied. He always said he was a genuine product, not a fake. On the way home, Hitler not only did not regret having abused the old woman, but also emphasized the importance of racism. At this moment, Fabian suddenly felt the man next to him extremely scary. When he got home, he watched the tape that he accidentally filmed at the beginning many times. Looking back at the whole scene, he appeared after a flash of light. Fabian then went to observe and suddenly discovered that the park where Hitler appeared was the citadel where he had lived in the past. This all further proves that Hitler really traveled through time from World War II to the present. Fabian immediately went to find Katina and told her everything, but the other person did not believe him. On the contrary, she called the doctor to come and arrest Fabian again. After fleeing, he finally found Hitler. Fabian used the gun that he had taken from the original Führer and forced him onto the rooftop. Hitler still wanted to convince Fabian with his arguments, but he still maintained his stance and directly shot the fascist in the head. But a scary scene appeared. Hitler, already dead, suddenly stood behind Fabian.
He told Fabian that you cannot tear yourself away from me. I am part of all of you. At this moment, director Katina shouted to the forest. It turned out that the scene just now was just content in the movie they were filming. But Fabian on the other side did not successfully escape. He was locked up in a mental institution for the rest of his life. At the end of the movie, Hitler sat in an open car and gradually drove through the streets of Berlin under everyone's applause. He looks like a real head of state. Hitler is the representative of extremism. It is not just a name, but represents an evil part of humanity. Most of the scenes in the movie were filmed in real life. The director asked the actor playing Hitler to go around places to record people's real reactions. It can be seen that many people still respect Hitler very much. In their hearts, he was not completely dead yet. Perhaps this is the real implication that this movie wants to talk about. Without this Hitler, there certainly would be another Hitler. As long as society still has many injustices, extremism will prevail. This is the end of the movie. What do you think about this movie? Leave a comment down below. Now goodbye, and see you again in the next videos.